I know I asked for something different with the Friday the 13th films. I don't think this is what I had in mind, but because it was very different, I kind of didn't mind it. Jason X, I believe it's pronounced Jason X, but it is the 10th film in the Friday the 13th series, so it could be Jason 10. Please feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. Was released in 2001. This is directed by James Isaac. It's written by Todd Farmer, and we have a cast including Kane Hodder as Jason Voorhees. And in pretty much all of my Friday the 13th film reviews, after the first two, maybe three films, excluding Jason Takes Manhattan, I basically always said they're exactly the same. There's no difference. Every film is the same scenario, the same characters. None of them offer anything different. And then we come to Jason X. This is set in 2455, and Jason is taken aboard this spaceship that's from Earth 2, and this is because he was cryogenically frozen since the early 2000s. And of course, he thaws out, comes back to life, and goes on a killing spree. And I don't hate it. It's not necessarily what I was looking for when I wanted something different. I was still expecting something to be a bit more contemporaneous, but honestly, I have to applaud them for eventually realizing they can't just keep doing the same story again and again, and that actually they can take the character and put him in a different scenario and in a different environment, and it can still deliver. And it does. It's not bad. It is slow. It's a very slow film, but the good bits are very good. We have some really great set designs. The music and sound effects are brilliant. The performances are really strong. And for me, it feels canon. It doesn't feel too different. Whereas something like, for example, Freddy vs. Jason, which I watched and reviewed a long time ago, to me that doesn't necessarily feel like Jason Voorhees canon. It could be, I don't know what the official approach is to that, but for me personally, we could take that out of the equation and I wouldn't feel like we're missing anything in regard to Jason's timeline. Whereas this one, it fits. It works well. I don't have any issues with it. It feels very different, but I still feel like I'm watching Jason Voorhees. So that bit worked really well. The only issue is that it is slow. It is very slow. It takes a long time for anything interesting to happen. And then when something does happen, it takes quite a bit of time for something else to happen. So the pacing could have been a lot better. But thankfully, because it is different to the others, it's still nice to have a different location and different characters, different kinds of characters. It's not just the usual young teenagers at a campsite. So sure, it may not have been exactly what I had in mind when I wanted something different. I think Jason Takes Manhattan was a lot more in line with what I was hoping for, and we got that, and I'm quite happy with that. But this one is so different that I have to applaud their creativity and the risk as well, because it could have absolutely fallen apart. Let me see what it has. I haven't checked the rating on IMDb. On IMDb, there is an average rating of 4.5 out of 10 across 65,000 reviews and ratings, and there's a Metascore of 25. So that's a very low Metascore, a reasonably low IMDb rating. I'd rate it a little higher than that. Let's say, for example, I've never seen any of the other Friday the 13th films, and I just watched this film about a serial killer who was frozen and comes back to life. Yeah, it wouldn't be the strongest. I maybe would agree with that 4.5 out of 10. It's not the strongest in terms of the pacing or the development of the narrative, but judging it with the others and just my desperate desire for something different, I have to rate it a little bit more highly, because I'm assuming other people said something at the time, they listened, they delivered, not really able to complain with that. So, in general, on its own, Jason X may not be the strongest film, but I feel like it was the right approach if they were going to release another Friday the 13th film. It's a much better decision than just doing another campsite film. And as I said, we have some great music and performances and sound effects. The set designs are great. I don't hate it. I didn't know how I'd feel about it, but I thought Jason X was actually not a bad film. And if you've enjoyed the others, obviously I recommend it. If you stopped watching some of the others because they were so repetitive, I do thoroughly recommend this, and also Jason Takes Manhattan. And I'm looking forward to watching the next. I think the next is the last one. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's the most recent one. Either way, no idea what to expect from it. And for now, I'm pretty happy to recommend Jason X.